Hey everybody, my name's Cassidy.
I'm Brendan.
And we're O'Donnell's Celtic Craft and Brewery.
I can't do that part.
Hey everybody, my name is Cassidy.
I'm Brendan.
And we're here at O'Donnell's Celtic Craft and Brewery today to bring to you a Valentine's Day brew and cook with us. We are brewing a
Honey Country Pilsner.
And we are cooking a homemade Alfredo shrimp pasta. So we'd love for you guys to join us. If you like this video and you like this type of content, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any requests for videos or any suggestions for videos that you'd like to see us do in the future, please leave a comment down below. And we hope that you enjoy this.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Alright you guys, so we're going to be giving you a little bit more information in this video than we have done in past ones. We're kind of going to show you more of a step-by-step process of the home brewing. That way, if you're interested in pursuing something like this yourself, you kind of get an idea of all that goes into it. It's not hard to do whatsoever, but you have to follow the directions and make sure that everything is sanitized and that you're using the proper methods for everything because you want to do it correctly. It's like when you're canning something after you plant vegetables in the summer, you want to make sure everything is sterilized and done properly so that way in a month when you're drinking your beer, you can be sure that it's safe to drink. So we're going to bring you right into this video, and Brendan's going to be doing a lot of the explaining because this is like more his thing than it is mine. Don't get me wrong, I love to do it, but it's definitely something that he's more intricately interested in than me. So we'll get right in.
The first step is getting plenty of water. Well, we are using a kit that calls for a 1 gallon fermenting tank. With that, the recipe calls to use 1.25 gallons because you will lose some during the boiling process. The first step is bringing your water to a boil. Now, we're not there yet, just turn it on. Once we're at a boil, we're then going to add the dried malt extract to make the wort, which is unfermented beer, for lack of a better term. Once we add the dried malt extract, we start to add in hops. Now, hops go in at varying times throughout the boiling process. Now, you just really pay attention to the recipe. Some hops get added at the beginning, some hops get added at the end, some in the middle, and some anywhere in between, depending on the recipe. This one calls for at the beginning and in the middle. Now, because we're doing the Honey Country Pilsner, the last step is adding a bit of honey before we cool it and put it in the fermenting tank.
Alright you guys, so I'm over here starting on our pasta for the night. So if you've never made homemade pasta before, highly recommend. It's amazing and it's so easy to do. So I figured that we'd show you in this video. So you can do this in multiple ways. So we've used all-purpose flour, we used whole wheat flour, and now we're using a real pasta flour. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna put 2 cups of the pasta flour onto our clean surface. I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna add in the garlic, and we have some of this Mushroom and Company multi-purpose umami seasoning blend from Trader Joe's that we always like to put into our pasta too. Just kind of adds a different flavor profile that you don't always get, and we really like it. So do that and we'll mix it up. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little well in the middle of our pasta here. And then we're going to crack 2 eggs into it. There's 2. I'm gonna start by breaking up the yolks here. I'm also gonna push them into the flour, the pasta flour that's in the center there, and start getting it a little bit mixed up. I don't know if you can see that. This really isn't hard to do. It's just, it takes some practice to get the perfect consistency. You want to try to just keep the egg within that confined space until it gets pretty mixed in there, because runny egg yolk on your counter is hard to keep up with. So, all right, when you're at this point, this is when I usually go in by hand and I start mixing everything up. Right, so I am currently mixing all this up with my hands. As you can see, the texture is kind of solidifying itself, but it's still very crumbly. So you just want to keep working this with your hands, because you're actually going to need a lot less water than you think that you're going to. We're at a point now where I can kind of start to knead it. Looks like a little bit more water here. So I'm gonna knead this, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes when I have it all done, and we'll show you how to put it through the pasta maker.
So now that we've brought the water to a boil, we're going to add the dried powdered malt extract. I think I said that backwards. Doesn't matter. As we're mixing this in, we add the first packet of the hops as well with this recipe. Smells like.
What does that one smell like? I always smell.
We used this one in the first batch recipe, I think.
Oh, that's nice.
Now these are dried hop pellet, so it's the whole hop that was shredded up and formed into pellets when they were still fresh and full of oils, and then dried out. Now you just set a timer for 45 minutes, and 20 minutes into it we add the second pack of hops.
All right, so I have broken up these little pieces of pasta dough into smaller chunks so that we can start to roll them out and put them through the pasta maker. So what I do every time is I get a little bit, same thing as if you were making dough, like some sort of biscuit or something like that. You want something dry to work with. So put a little bit of that on there, and then I always take a rolling pin and I roll out my dough before I put it through the pasta maker, just to make sure that all the edges are clean and everything's gonna be even going through. Now everyone does this different, and let me tell you something, guys, I am not an expert at this, and I think that's kind of the fun part. If you're looking for a perfect video for this, like, I'm not the one to watch, because I've only done this a handful of times. But I do think that there's something to be said about practicing something that you enjoy, because over time you will get better, and eventually I will be like one day that grandma that just knows how to make pasta really well. So practice that, and just hold on to the fact that, like, even if you're not perfect at something, it's still worth trying and still worth learning. Okay, so flatten this piece out. I try to get it pretty even all around. And then here's what we do. Okay, so I am putting it through this first little flattened piece. So I started at a higher thickness, and then I progressively bring it down. So here we go. Put it through here, and I'll show you guys what it looks like after it's gone through one time. All right, so this has gone through one time, and this is what it looks like now. I am gonna fold it in half, and I am going to put it through the same thickness one more time.
Or as many times as looks good.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes like 3 or 4 times. It just depends. So, here we go. We have that. All right, that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the thickness of this about 1 or 2 notches. Just going to put it straight through there. And don't worry if the edges are a little jagged. It's not something I love, but it really does not affect the flavor of the pasta at all. Okay, so that's gone through. And again, I'm just gonna fold this in half, and then I'll put it through at that thickness again. And I kind of just repeat this process as many times as I feel like the pasta needs to be at the proper consistency. So as you can see, here's where we are now. I'm gonna plop it through this same thickness without folding it. And that looks pretty good. And like I said, you don't have to worry about the jagged edges. If you don't like it, then you can cut them off, but I'm not about to worry about it. A lot of them get cut off just in general. Like there's a little hole here, but it's not gonna hurt anything. So then I'm just gonna put this on my pasta rack, and I'm gonna do that again for the next couple of pieces of pasta. I have all of my pasta flattened out here, and I'm gonna take the first one that I made, and I'm going to bring it over to my pasta maker. And I am going to make this at the linguine size. So you just simply put it in, just like so, and start turning the handle. You just go at a moderate speed, not too fast, not too slow. And just get it all through there. And I like to bring my hand down, grab it. Great. And then what I do at this point is I just kind of twirl it and drop it into a pile.
So while you're boiling, you need to get your stuff sanitized because everything should be sanitized. Otherwise, you can get unwanted bacteria, and that can cause all sorts of problems with the brewing. So we've filled the 1 gallon fermenting tank with a sanitizing solution. We sanitized that for the last 20 minutes, and now we're going to sanitize the rest of the stuff we need while the boil's still going. The last step after the boil, before we put it into the gallon fermenting tank, is to put the pot in an ice bath to bring it back down to between 60 and 70 degrees, because that's the temperature that the fermenting yeast is going to work the best at.
Okay, y'all, so at this point I'm going to be starting the shrimp alfredo. So essentially I am just going to saute up some shrimp and broccoli, and then I'm going to add some heavy cream and Parmesan and just let that boil on the stove for 15 minutes or so. And then I'm going to start my pasta. We're adding the honey in. What's your thoughts, babe?
Steam's pretty hot.
What are you doing?
Trying to get as much honey out of this as possible without touching it with my hands. We're going to stick it in the ice bath, but you're supposed to cover it first.
What on earth are you doing? Oh.
Gotta get the lid for it. Now you only want it to be in an ice bath that is about as deep as the liquid is inside the pot, because otherwise you can cool it too rapidly and get it below the temperature you want it to be.
All of my ingredients here, they are cooking up. I have the lid over the top to encourage faster cooking because honestly this pot is a little small, but it'll work. It'll be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Something you'll learn if you do these cook with us enough is that we kind of just go with the flow.
Hope for the best.
Yep, pretty much.
So you're pouring the beer into the fermenting tank. Well, the whole process is scaled up depending on the size you're doing. We're only doing 1 gallon batches to get the hang of it. So,
Do you want to explain why the tape is on the jug?
the tape marks 1 gallon.
So we're only using about half of this yeast. For some reason, that's what the directions called for. And so, Brenda, do you want to tell them what I'm going to make tomorrow?
Some bread.
Some beer bread. Fun. So then what do? What's the ending process?
Put the lid back on, and as the yeast does its thing, there will be some CO2 gases that are released, and it will foam up and bubble a lot over the next couple days. So you want to, well, it comes with the kit that we got in airlock that they suggest you fill with the sanitation solution to prevent anything else getting into it. And now you just sit it in a dark place and let it sit and ferment for about 2 weeks. Now it's going to want to be, most beers like a temperature in the 60s for fermenting. This one, I actually set between 48 and 60 at the last batch we did that we was showed in our bottling video, said between 60 and 70 degrees. So
just pay attention to that.
yeah.
Okay, so we are back over here by our boiling water and our shrimp and broccoli, and I am just going to add the pasta right into this water, just like so. We buy a local milk from around us and local dairy products. Supporting those local farms is so important, and it's just they taste so much better. So here I am filling my little pan with some heavy cream. I'm gonna turn this to about a medium heat. And I'm just gonna mix everything in here just like that. A little bit more will do. There we go. I probably used about a cup and a half, 2 cups maybe. And I am going to let this heat up. And I'm going to add some Parmesan and other Italian cheeses. Just a combination of Asiago, Parmesan, and Romano cheese. And I am just going to add it by the handful.
Doing pasta this way is your cooking time is quite a bit shorter, and if you overcook them they'll just be disgustingly soft, but that point of done to overdone happens quickly when you're doing homemade pasta.
It's not that much different, but it is something you want to keep in mind. Can I try? This is what they look like. See if that will focus. Your face is in focus, so.
It's a noodle.
Alright, thank you. outline there. This is about exactly what you want for an Alfredo. It's cheesy, it's creamy, it's delicious, and it's thickened up to the point where it's saucy and not runny. So I'm just gonna put this heat off because we're just about ready to serve it, and then I'll take a serving spoon and just pour it right over the top. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today on this episode at O'Donnell's Celtic Crafted Brewery. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and leaving a comment down below about future requests that you might have for us in the future. We really appreciate all of the support that we've received so far, and we look forward to creating more content in the future. Nikita, do you want to come say goodbye? Watching from Brendan, Nikita, and Cassidy. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. I know, I can't tell if she's very unhappy now, but thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today. Slancha!
We need a drink.
Oh wait, we do. We don't have one.
Oh well.
It seems like a sin to do a beer video and not have a beer. Bye guys.